Now the calcium level of this aquarium is 480, so just a tad on the high side. So you don't want to be dosing any calcium at this stage, and I would like to see that down slightly, but I'm not too worried about that at all. Water changes help to get calcium down, and stabilizing all your other levels help to get your calcium down. But high calcium is particularly common these days with the supplements that are available. Now the other thing is the phosphate of this aquarium I've just tested as 0. So if you are dosing phosphate removers, some of the phosphate removing products are very, very effective. So this has been dosing 2 mils morning and 2 mils night. So the phosphate level is currently 0. So I would like to stop dosing phosphate remover for a little while, and then I would probably start it again at a lower dose once I'm getting a phosphate level. The other thing is that I don't like running any phosphate removing products without polyfilter. Now in this case we do have polyfilter, but the polyfilter definitely could do with a clean, so I'm not worried about that too much. But using too much phosphate remover can often create a bit of a white film or a bit of white cloudiness in the water. So I do not want to overdose phosphate removers. And also I want to clean the skimmer twice a week when you're using phosphate removers, because it is bonding it out of solution. So we do want to make sure the skimmer is working optimally in order to remove the phosphate remover from the water. So phosphate removers, nitrate removers and all that stuff, you definitely can have too much of a good thing. And we do not want the level to be 0. We want it to be very low, but not actually 0. Now, if you really want to confuse yourself, there's 2 really great things you can do. One is go around asking lots of different people the same question, because you'll get a different answer from every single person. And you can go on Google and get a different answer altogether again. What the best thing to do is find one person that you think actually cares and you think actually knows, and then use them as a sounding board. That's something I'd highly advise. And the other way to get really confused too is get all different people to do tests for you, because people will use different test kits and they will have a different rate of accuracy in the way that they do the tests. So the only way that you can be sure with your aquarium, in my opinion, is for you to create a testing regime that works for you. Getting an aquarium shop to test it, or getting different people to test it, tends to just be confusing. You want to rely on one single source and ensure that you're getting the results that you want. Now, the way that you test magnesium is first you need to test calcium, and in this case it was 480, and then you need to test the magnesium. And then you need to take the calcium level off the magnesium level to get the actual answer. So this aquarium has a magnesium level of 1680. I want it closer to about, say, 1300, so it's just a little bit on the high side. So what I'd recommend doing for now is to turn off the magnesium, allow the magnesium to drop to about 1300, and then turn it back on again at a lower level. The KH is also 10 in this aquarium, so I'd probably just turn that down a little bit. And we want to increase the amount of oxygen, and that hopefully will raise our pH up a little bit. Otherwise, there are chemicals that can raise pH, but the pH in here is 8.2, which I'm pretty happy with anyway, so wouldn't worry too much about that. And the calcium is a little bit on the high side too, so I just turn that down a little bit. And the phosphate is 0 according to my test. So therefore I would, which means it wouldn't be 0, but it's probably near 0. So therefore I'd not have on my phosphate remover for now, give the media a good clean, and send away an ICP test for an example. So the salt level of this aquarium is 0.025, which is a good salt level for a well-established tank. If you were going to add new fish, I'd want the salt on the low side. But my favorite salt level is sort of 0.024, 0.025. So I am happy with that. And it is important what you test your salt with, because the bobby thermometers, hydrometers are not as accurate. These ones here are not as accurate. I do prefer these ones, and the electronic ones you do need to double check and maintain in order to get good results. So this tank's got some sand sifting stars in it, which is a very good idea for stirring up the sand. You can also consider getting some strom snails. Abalones are really good, but it is also really important that when you do drop a coral, when it falls off the reef, you need to put it back in again, and do be very careful of shading, because in this case here, we've got the light coming down on that angle, and then some of those corals in the back there are getting a little bit shaded. So just be aware of shading, because that coral there looks like it's maybe getting too shaded, and this coral here is fading out, which means that the slightly higher temperature or higher light settings may be an issue. And once again, I would like to see more coral and algae as we stabilize this water. I would like to see that increase. Now, a really easy thing to overlook is the weir. So in the back of this aquarium is a weir, and the amount of crap that builds up in the weir is absolutely unbelievable. So on a semi-regular basis, just get a siphon pipe, put it down in that weir area, and give that back weir a bit of a clean out, because you'll be surprised how much sludge and crap you get out of that weir. And obviously make sure you use a gravel siphon every time you do a water change. So as far as the probiotics is concerned, I think that is the best food. Now this is a very healthy, happy tank of fish, but increasing, reducing some of these fish is going to be a good idea. But the yellow tang is not as yellow as I wish. So what I would going to recommend is that at least twice a week, I would like to see a feed of Danichi color go in the water. I think this food is like magic. For pure results of your fish, I think this one is the best. Maybe just feed this one for a week, then just go back to predominantly feeding the probiotics. But I like a combination of your Danichi color, which is this one here, and the probiotics, and then I'm completely happy. And I tend to feed the fish about 5 times a week, so not quite every day. But when you feed the fish, it's not that important. What really matters is the bellies. And I'm very happy with these bellies. So these fish are fed much more regularly than 5 times a week, but the results are there. These are very good, very healthy, very happy fish. But if it was up to me, I'd probably feed a little bit more, a little bit less often, but that does not matter. But I definitely want a bit of this in diet, because it needs to be in the fish tank, not in the cup. The nitrate level of this aquarium is under 10, which, considering there is this many fish, is unbelievable. But he does a lot of water changes. If you're going to cut down your water changes, which I would do because I'm too lazy, then I'm going to guess the level of this tank around sort of 7 or 8, which I'm pretty happy with. That's a good level. But once again, he does a lot of water changes. That's going to reduce the nitrate. And also he does feed probiotic food. And the probiotic food is an amazing way of reducing your nitrate level. And he only feeds probiotic. So if he starts reducing his water changes, then his nitrate is likely to go up. And if he starts feeding foods other than probiotics, I expect his water change, his nitrate, to go up. And once again, all your tests are just a snapshot. So if you've done a water change since last time, that may make the nitrate go down since you got it tested last. The other thing is that if your media is a bit dirty in your filter, that means your level of denitrification may actually increase due to lack of oxygen in the bacteria. So if you give your filter a good clean, that's going to be very good for the health of the aquarium, but may actually increase your nitrate levels. And I definitely want that to be cleaned. And you also got keto in there, and that's going to help to suck out your nitrates too. So basically this is a very good tank, ran very well. It has not been cleaned, which is a good thing. A lot of people get me out to consult on their tank after they've just cleaned it. Now, I don't want to see your tank when it's at its best. If you're going to get me out to look at your tank, you want me to do it when it is at its worst, so I can really see what's going on. Now, what's been going on with this tank is it has been relying on the spin tests that we do at Majestic Aquariums. Now, the spin tests at Majestic Aquariums are a great way of working out problems and making a bad tank good. But in order to make a good tank better, you need a more accurate testing routine, and the only person you can trust to do your testing is you. There is no service guy that's here regularly enough. There is no shop you can take the place to. There is no way to avoid the fact that if you want to own your aquarium and you want your aquarium to be unbelievable, you need to test your own water and trust your own tests.